want to ask you guys kind of a big picture question here. So, what is the best way to get started collecting hot toys? Because this is something that I think everyone struggles with. And maybe if we have any newcomers in the chat who are watching, maybe might be slightly afraid to jump in because they're still learning or they don't collect a ton of hot toys and they're still trying to learn how the process works. And it can be kind of difficult because the first thing instinct that you have when you first start collecting hot toys, you want to buy them all because you get one that you really like, and then at that point you say, but I like this one and I like that one and I like that one and this one's coming home, and that's what happens. And it can really start to spiral out of control to the point where eventually then you're going to say, okay, now I'm going to have to sell some of those and get what I really want. So it's almost like you have to go through that sort of growth process and learn, and then, not just buy everything you see. But Keco, I want to ask you, what's the best way to get started here with collecting? Because it can be an extremely exciting hobby, but also can be kind of daunting if you don't know where to start.
Boy, that's a loaded question, isn't it? The best way to get started.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
we've hinted at different little ways and tips. Drago,
Drago, what are we? An hour and 31 minutes in. Let's go.
131. Yeah. So anyway, the best way to get started, I would say a lot of people don't ever start by getting a pre-order. You'd be like, oh, wow, this is my favorite figure. I just saw this. Don't ever start by getting a pre-order. That is a terrible idea because you're going to be waiting. You're going to be bitter because it takes forever to show up. And then you have your money out there for potentially years with no figure. So the best way to get started collecting is, if possible, go visit one in person. Go see. Oh, that's me. Go visit a collection or go to a comic shop or just see one in person. That way you can see what's the scale, what do they look like, what do they feel like, and is that something you want to actually pursue? If that's not an option and you say, I really want to see one, then honestly, go to Sideshow, find something in stock and get one. If you don't like it, send it back because they have a good return policy and it's Sideshow. But you need to have one in hand to be able to make an accurate an assessment of that, because I know plenty of people that, pre-ordered 10 different things when Endgame came out, didn't get any of them, cashed out and said, I don't want any of them anymore. And they lost like probably $300 because, there's 10 deposits in there. And so that was that. So I got to say, get something in hand, see if you like it, and then go from there. And then once you do decide if that's what you want, pace yourself. There is no race. Be smart. Don't collect backwards. We can talk about this for a million years, but you got to hold it in hand to be able to decide for sure.
Right. Collecting backwards can be a very dangerous game. And I'm glad that Ben O'Benny and Yukiko pointed that out. I've only done it a few times where I had to pretty much pay up. The Terminator DX13 was probably the one example where I really had to pay up because I felt I just needed that figure. I had to pay I got some extra clothing and accessories with it, but it was like $550 for that Terminator DX13, where originally it was maybe like a $350 figure at the time. So I paid obviously a pretty good penny for it. So yeah, sometimes you will have to do that for a certain figure that you just, like Dean, if it's Cloud, you cannot live without Cloud and you have to sometimes pay up for him. Sometimes that does happen. But as far as getting started, yeah, I would say, like you said, Keco, get one in hand, see how you feel. Honestly, the first one you should buy, it should be like what a Loki is to me, right? A Loki where you get that first character, you're like that, because that's probably the only reason you're going to. Yeah. Iconic character to you.
I was going to say, don't get a character that you think is cool. Get one that you absolutely love. And that way, if you do get it and you're like, I don't really like it, you could still keep it because you're like, I do love this character. So, yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. Yeah, because that's why my first hot toy was Kylo Ren. And guys, let us know your first hot toy in the chat and why you picked it up. But I picked up Kylo Ren because I love Kylo Ren. And I was like, you know what? I want more Kylo Ren shit in my house. And I picked up a hot toy and then I said, this is really great. And I got more hot toys. That said, that would be my tip. Start with the iconic character for you, the most iconic character that you can think of that exists in Hot Toys format with the outfit that you love. Start with the iconic. Dean, what do you think? What's the best way to get started?
Yeah, my first figure was Boba Fett. So,
see, there you go.
And then Darth Vader. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you guys on start with a favorite. Also, I got really lucky because I had met Zach, my co-host over on Collecting Weekly, through a local Facebook group here. Because I had bought the Boba Fett figure. I didn't really know what it was. I just thought it, it's Boba Fett. I love Boba Fett, and it looked cool, so I bought it. And he had sent me a message asking about if they had any more because I had got them like on a Labor Day sale or something. So I got like real cheap at a local store, and then I ended up meeting him a little bit later and talking to him and really figuring out the world of 6 scale collecting. I didn't know what I was getting into. And then he taught me about kit bashing and customs, and this was all before like 3D printing and all that kind of stuff. So it was really a whole world in and of itself. And so try and find someone locally would be cool if you can. I know that's not easy for everybody. That kind of knows their way around the hobby. Find a Facebook group, local collectors. 6 scale people are out there. You just got to dig for them. There's a lot more ended up being in town than we ever thought because there was not like at the time, there was no group for us, but now there is. But yeah, try and find someone in the hobby that kind of knows their way around already and pick their brain on advice. Like what would you do in this situation, or like where would I go to find this or this, whatever questions you have, try and find somebody that's already kind of ingratiated themselves in the culture, because that helped me out big time with Zach, because that dude's a walking encyclopedia for 6 scale collecting. So
Shout out to Ox Father.
Yeah, he helped me out so much when I was first getting started. So
yeah, it's true, bro. Absolutely. And guys, I think there's a lot of great comments in there, and I know like Larry was saying, two figures to a D-top shelf, that could be something you do. There are a lot of great things. I know 16 Cape said silver centurion. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot of great tips out there. And for me, I would say the best way to get started is start by identifying which characters you truly love. What are your tier 1 characters? What characters can you not live without? And that's what you want to start with, because that's what's going to get you the most excited to keep remain in the hobby, essentially. Without that, you're going to get things, like, okay, that's kind of cool. But now that Groot is 5 years old, I don't really give a shit about Groot. I might not care as much. But if you had your iconic characters, it's a little bit different.
that's
a little bit
true.
different. So guys, let us know in the chat below what you think about that.